I'm coming for you, Josh. I can't believe you did that to me. Can't believe you did that. What's going on, guys? I'm deleting that. I sound like Legion in it. Oh, man. But don't panic. No need to panic, Josh. What's going on, guys? I'm Matt. Faceless. This is our second episode of the Apex Destiny 2 podcast. How you guys doing? We're recording. I took a picture. The first one is gone. It's gone. Yeah, to say the least. We made a new Twitch. I didn't enable VODs and I didn't press record. But they're both taken care of now. Oh, or you guys.
Mute me? That's fucked up,
both
bro.
You guys.
That's fucked up, bro.
All right, they can hear you now.
Wait, you muted both of us? What?
Yeah, now I have
Quality-
Discord on mute.
Quality content created over here.
The best.
Thank God we weren't shit talking the clan.
Just Josh.
Does Josh even play the game anymore?
I know, right? Where have you been, Josh? Anyway, let's try the intro again. I'm Matt.
Legionless over here, and then Faceless.
Okay, that's not my name, but yeah.
This is the second episode. The first episode, Legion forgot to press record, but we won't go into that.
That's a
Okay.
yikes.
Sure.
That's a big yikes right there.
Exactly.
We've got verbal confirmation that Matt has hit it this time, but
And the picture.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes at the end.
Yeah.
If it's actually there, then success.
All right.
So what are we talking about tonight, Matt?
Let's review the TWAB first, because it's short, it's sweet. There's
It's
no
kinda
new news
shit.
for Shadow. Yeah, there's no news for Shadowkeep really in it, other than the Solstice gear, once fully completed, if you do complete it, will be available at the gunsmith for you when Shadowkeep drops.
Once made legendary.
Once made legendary, right? You don't have to masterwork it, they said. So that's pretty
That's
exciting.
nice.
Yeah, that's exciting because as soon as we launch Shadowkeep, boom, you have your 2.0 gear set to at least start the new campaign and stuff with.
Everyone was fairly concerned, too, that it would just be a pointless grind again. But I guess they actually heard, so that's nice.
I mean, it would have been if they didn't include that, I feel like. So I'm pretty pumped for that now. I'm pumped to grind for that gear set, which
Yeah.
I have here. Pull it up. There we go. Which
Oh,
one do you guys
visuals.
like? Which one do you guys like the best here? Out of the
I mean,
three?
it looks the exact same as last year, so
But
a lot
if
of
you
the
had to-
hype is
If
gone.
you had to pick,
The
I like
Hunter.
what they changed with the glows. The hunter looks chunky. No.
I like his cloak covering his head.
Look
then
at those
once we get, like,
antlers.
Well, like once we get the ornaments, I really like the Titan and then the Warlock more.
so
Warlock looks good. That's all I need.
Yep.
now continue the TWAB here. If you played the game, what was it, from June 25th to July 23rd, you're gonna get
28.
a emblem because of the whole Lord of Wolves fiasco. That's the emblem there. If you guys want to see it,
Is it a fiasco though?
I mean, they made the gun too broken. How do you not check that? And then and then we have another emblem. I'm not gonna get this emblem, and I'm really jealous. If you play the game December 8th through the 10th in 2017. Or sorry, through the 12th. I'm sorry.
I think it was just the
emblem.
launch weekend of
Yep,
Curse
it
of
was the
Osiris.
weekend. Which is
Yeah,
a fucking huge bummer because this emblem is so sick.
yeah. I think
So
all three
sick.
of us were on console back then.
I think I'm actually
I
gonna have it on my
wasn't-
PS4. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I remember I wasn't even playing around this time. Like I played from launch for like a month on console, and then I really just hated what came out with Destiny 2, so I just stopped. And then I heard like I don't even know how I heard about it, but I heard about like the Prometheus lens thing, and then I came back, bought it, like played like 1 or 2 matches. So I probably have it on console, which is unfortunate.
Sam, I do remember playing with the Prometheus lens during some time where it was OP, and I think it was on PS4 though. I'm not happy about it.
Yep. Anything else on the 12?
And just that, actually, for me, the important thing is they're nerfing Lord of Wolves. Thank God.
It's whatever for me. It'll just
Didn't
be
bother you
replaced
too
by
much?
whatever.
Man,
I mean,
just PvP, man.
I think I've gotten killed by it like once in this Iron Banner.
it was just really like out there at the beginning when everyone was like when it made its like round around social media. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is so great," and then I think people kind of chilled out about it, which could probably be said for like a lot of things. Is once it just goes around social media, like the meta settles.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting nerfed into the ground, but I think it's needed. The thing fucked
Yeah,
me up a bunch of times.
there's a couple other things I'd like to see adjusted, but that PvP adjustments, that's not even really like that big of a deal to me. Um I'd rather have like the ground level stuff be changed first, so whatever they just go around changing is not a big deal to me until they do that.
Yeah. And I believe that not in this TWAB, but in future TWABs leading up to Shadowkeep, they are going to be giving us some more details about Shadowkeep. So I think we're all
Well,
on the
they
lookout for that.
better.
Well,
Yeah.
like, actually,
Fine.
Josh
Here's the
informed me.
expansion. No
Josh
info.
informed me that they're gonna do that. So Josh, if you're wrong, I'm coming after you again. Okay. We're gonna make a fucking
Just
video.
blame
together
Josh
if
now?
If that happens, yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
right,
probably a
so-
couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a couple weeks away. Anything else on the TWAB?
Yeah. Well, Halfbrit said it was in the TWAB, so there you go. Face, tell us what our main topic is today.
So today we're going to discuss challenging content versus punishing content and how it affects this game. Because with some
Yeah.
stuff like Reckoning and Heroic Menagerie, Flawless shit, we've been a little discontent with the way that other difficulties have ended up coming up.
Yeah, and it kind of leaves like the end game player really like needing a little bit more. Like it's the game is great for like casual players. Like there's a million different little activities they can do, and then it's great for like the mid core like type of player. But when you get to like the higher end, sure raids are like the thing, but it's still an easy raid. You can like 3-man it, 2-man it, so something needs to be added for like the few people that are in that like end game player type of category. And hopefully with the game going towards like a more MMO RPG type feel, we'll have a little bit more of that. So
An actual challenge instead of this artificial challenge, because that's what I think a lot of people are upset with, right? Like something like the Flawless Menagerie, where you have to be 7. What's the light recommendation?
It's 750.
It's 770. Some of the bosses in there, though, right, or whatever it is.
Yes.
yeah,
once-
the like tail end of that
Yeah.
is 770.
So that's right there to me. That's a prime example of this like artificial like hard mode. And we've
Well,
all been in
like-
there. You just get fucking melted when you get in there.
Well, like my issue with like a lot of the content is so challenging content is like the reckoning, where like you just have a really narrow window of failure, and it's like it's
Challenging
kinda
or
like
punishing?
Sorry, punishing is the reckoning. So
Hmm.
reckoning is punishing because you have a small window to fail,
Yep.
or small window to succeed, very easy to fail. It's match made, so like having that coupled with all these other like really annoying pain points, like you're on a bridge, like the bridge is
You
just
get
really the
booped
most
off.
annoying part. Yeah, the stop mechanics just
Yeah.
booping you off, and that's
like
the
if-
difficulty.
If one or two of your guys gets booped off, it's over, right? Because you only have that short time to get the thing activated.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So you like,
Yeah,
it's-
like-
yeah.
like Glad was, I think when it first came out, Glad tried like two-manning it or something, and like they were doing it perfectly, but they couldn't have enough people on the zones to cap it in time because the window's so short. So that's kind of what we're talking about for punishing content. And then challenging content, I think a good example is Spire of Stars. We kind of like look back at it as it being like not a very fun raid because it was so mechanic heavy, but I think out of all the raids that we've gotten, that's a pretty good example of challenging content. So it's just having like a bunch of plates to juggle at once instead of having like you're really weak, the boss is really strong, you just face tank damage and deal damage. That's pretty much how the raids this year two around have kind of gone. So
Well,
that's
does
kind of
chal-
the stage we're setting for the challenging and punishing content.
would you say that challenging content needs to be complex? Because I know a lot of people consider SOS to be mechanically complex.
Repeat the first part.
In order for something to be challenging, does it need to be as complex as Spire of Stars or like legit Riven?
I think so. So I think so. If we're talking raids, I think the raids we've gotten are really fine, good for having like a normal mode. But I think where we need like the difficulty bumped up is like a harder mode. And so a really good example was in D1, the King's Fall raid. They sort of seemed to make the hard mode first, and then they scaled it down a little bit to make it easier for normal mode. So like you run in normal mode for weeks and weeks until hard mode comes out, and then hard mode comes out and it's a higher difficulty. And so like you're getting prepared all this time just by doing normal mode, and then you finally get the hard mode, and like little nuances that made that hard, like a Light Eater Knight just running across the map and you need to kill him before he wipes the entire party. Like
Mhm.
it's just little things like that where like you're doing the regular day-to-day thing in the raid, and then these little complex I guess mechanics come in and you need to adjust and react to them. I think that's what makes the King's Fall raid a really good example of having good challenging content, especially when like you have normal and then hard and then challenge. So to answer your question, yes, I think having more plates to balance and spin is what makes really good challenging content.
Yeah, and I like that as well. I love SOS because of that. The plates even, and I know it gets repetitive, but we just ran it last night, and I had so much freaking fun. I really did.
I forgot how fast it goes.
Yeah.
Like all the encounters are over really, really quickly.
Yeah, you do the first encounter, and like I think Spire would have been like so much better if they did not have the really long jumping puzzle in the middle. Like just a really long jumping. If they took the time to teach one of the end game like mechanics for like the whole end scene, if they like bumped, so if they took the last two fights, bumped that up, and then added like something where you're teaching one of the mechanics that aren't touched upon in the final fight. Like if they put that right in the middle, that would have been perfect. Like you just build upon you learn how to use the ball mechanic with the smoke to charge the ball and pass that around, and then you learn another mechanic on top of that, another mechanic, and then you're at the final boss, and you have to pull all of those mechanics together and kill the boss. So like that's where Crown of Sorrow gets like really well. The new raid is they build upon like the mechanics and teach you throughout the raid really well.
Well, except that makes the first one, it's not challenging and it's not punishing. It's just stupid. The first crown encounter.
Well, yeah, that's kind of separate thing. That's just too long.
One less phase, and I think it's fine.
Nah, I mean, just remove the whole thing. But yeah.
Yeah, you hate it that much? You think that it's
I hate it that
garbage?
much.
Wow.
I would rather have Mockery as the first encounter.
Fuck that thing.
Like,
Heroic Mockery?
The thing that makes like the first encounter so good is it teaches the mechanic. Like it'd be like having, I don't know, something completely different. It'd be like throwing some cinnamon in with your vanilla ice cream. So it just wouldn't work, I think.
See, but like once you get past that intro, that raid is really fun.
I think, well, it's kind of sounding like challenging is a bunch of punishing things that aren't incredibly punishing because they're easy to stop the wipe, but they're all still there that you have to keep track of, like crystals and Crown of Sorrows. Or there aren't a lot of wipe mechanics in Spire of Stars actually, but like all the eyes and Riven that I can't hit. You hit the wrong one and that's a wipe for the whole group. And there's a few other things in there that'll wipe you, but you can keep track of them, which makes it challenging as opposed to like Heroic Menagerie, where you're trying to do flawless, and you could be hiding behind a pillar and just get booped into the sky, and you're dead, and your run's ruined. That's not really complicated.
It doesn't need to be like full of wipe mechanics. Like you just need to like stop the wipe mechanics. Like it can literally just be like a bunch of plates, like we have to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3. And all that.
Like with the beginning encounter of Spire of Stars. It's not just sitting there killing a few ads and then running to the middle and swapping. I hate the beginning of Crown of Sorrows because it's just so boring. In Spire, at least, you've got one person who's running around up top killing all the ads. And it's not hard, but it's fun. And then you've got everyone else who's got to be juggling their ads and the balls around pretty quickly to keep their plates up. Significantly less boring than just.
What do you think, Matt?
Sorry, repeat that again. I was talking in chat.
So we're just like, I guess we're kind of talking about why the beginning of Crown of Sorrow is boring.
That is for me. I don't hate the encounter. I hate the length of it. I think one less would make a huge difference for it, and I'd be fine with it. It's easily my favorite raid of the, I guess, year 2, right? Yeah,
well, like
2.
The Eater of Worlds intro is.
I hate that one the most. If you want to talk about that,
it's irritating. But if your group's doing it well, at least you're constantly moving.
What do you mean doing well? It's just jump in front of the thing in front of you.
I've had groups take like half an hour to clear that, which is never fun.
Encounter. I don't know.
You do get just that sitting there and killing those ads. I don't know. There's something about Crown of Sorrows. It's like, it's the third time we've seen this zone. There's one mechanic that you can do it where you just have half the group ignore it, and it's still fine. Who is the purple guy? Yeah,
I think we can all agree though that the what we hate most about like the punishing content is like how it's just really kind of boring, right? Like think Heroic Menagerie, like we're just trying to do as much, or any boss, we're just trying to do as much damage as possible, and we're trying to like just sit in a well and tank as much damage as possible. And it's just really boring. So like Heroic Menagerie, like it's not that hard once you get a team, but like doing it flawlessly, because like you're just trying to mitigate that damage even more, and like that's just really boring, right? Just the same old formula like we're trying to solve, like do more damage, take less damage, and like
Especially with our supers of the shield where you take no damage if you're behind it, and the well where you just insta heal pretty much anything.
yeah,
You just stand there.
yeah, and like part of it is well is so strong, but I think the bigger issue is that well is really like the bar to be set, and like everything else just is not there. But I really want to see like them shaking it up a little bit more, having more than just do damage, take as little damage as possible.
How do you do it though? Is the question. How do you make things actually more challenging without making this like artificial like layer on there? You know what I mean?
Well, they made Riven.
Well,
Yeah.
No one does Riven
No one does
Because-
Riven legit.
because of their mistake, right? If you think about it, if they didn't,
I mean-
if they could patch that somehow. I mean, I don't mind because obviously I got what I needed out of that raid, but I've never done it, and I kind of want to experience it now. Like, I don't know. There's just no reason
mean,
to.
there's no
It's
way
hard to
they
get a
could've-
group.
There's no way they could have known that going
Yeah,
to
I
Riven,
mean-
that people would be so powerful enough that they could just do her entire health like at
Yeah.
once.
Is there no
essentially.
way though to at least lock out that room? Not that it would change much because then people would just wipe until they got them in the
they've-
room.
They've talked about it, and it's kind of the same thing with the Menagerie chest fix. Like, people just would stop doing Riven
Yeah,
because at this
Yeah.
point you don't really need to, so they just won't.
Yeah.
yeah, and so like first of all, it's not very like fun content. Like that's right. That's the purpose of like a game, is to be fun, and then it's not rewarding, right? Most of the punishing content's not even like worth doing. Like Reckoning, they have like some great looking weapons like the Spare Ration,
I'm not going in
the
there.
Doomsday. Yeah, it's just such
The
a
drop
terrible
rate
time.
is so bad.
Yep, drop rates.
But that
terrible.
goes back to like, one of the topics was on here too. Like, what's going on with the loot system? Why are we not being rewarded for the content we're doing? You guys, the guys in here have done the raid, right? The new raid. What's the fucking best gun in that raid?
Yeah. Exactly.
Why would I go back in there and play that raid if I have Shadow and everything I need? Like, honestly. I mean, it's fun, like I do it for fun at that point, but if you're trying to bring players back in, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's upsetting.
Yeah, and we've kind of like talked about this before. We're like, it's just the whole from like the bottom to the top of like the loot incentivization is just not really there. Like, there's so many, like, we have the activities, right? That's great. We have like all the activities we could want, and then we have like really good weapons over here. And so like, what's missing is connecting the activities with like the weapons and the gear. So like honestly, I think the solution is just to make the drops more generous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have things just drop more, right? Even if that means that God roll comes a lot later. But if you're seeing like good, consistent, also the loot pool's just small in every activity. How many better devils have you guys seen?
I don't play
Yeah.
Crucible.
But you know what I
Well,
mean? I'm just saying if you play
yeah.
Crucible or not Go Figures. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like
Well-
you need a bigger pool. You're getting the same weapons over and over and over again.
I mean, seeing as there's like 2 good rolls for PvE and then a few small good rolls for PvP, I don't know that making the pool bigger is necessarily it. You're just gonna get the same rolls again.
Yeah, and little off topic, like the loot, but I think the solution to that is to make the roles and like the perks deeper, like having more perks that you can go for. So whether that means them finally getting rid of like Rampage and Kill Clip, and then like having other things be able to finally replace them. But I don't think we want to go too far
Yeah.
towards talking about the loot. It was a little
off topic,
so
It's my bad.
we'll yeah, so the So here's the problem with the punishing content. Like, one, it's very boring after you've done it. It's very unrewarding, so you don't want to do it. And then uh, it's just like the barrier to like get into it. So the barrier of entry, I think, is little weird, right? So like Reckoning, it's match made, but it's also like the hardest, quote unquote, hardest content to complete because it's so punishing. So it's weird, right? Like matchmaking content's supposed to be easier because people are matchmaking into it.
But
So
wait,
like they're not going
for
in
that, like
with
for the
stacks.
punishing part there. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's more like chance, right? It's like maybe my warlock with well won't get booped off this time. It's like it's bullshit if you ask me. I'm sorry. I literally stopped running that activity because of that, getting booped off so many fucking times. You lose
Yeah.
your warlocks, it's literally over, right? Because like I said, you only have that short time to get back on, and it's not. There's no skill in there. Not that I'm skilled, but there's none.
Oh wait, there is skill involved in not getting booped off.
I mean, what? But the melee,
Kill them.
kill them.
Yeah, just kill them, forehead.
I'm
There's a lot
only
of
being
shit
a
that
little
there's
bit
a-
facetious, though.
There's a lot of shit that boops you, though, bro.
Yeah, but it's mostly the bosses, and there are some bosses who are really frustrating, like the Taken Ogres.
Hmm.
But for the most part, unless your group's already bad and behind, you know where they spawn, and you can shoot them with a ton of grenades, and then they're just dead, unless you have really shitty modifiers.
Yeah, so to answer Rex's question in chat about like doing challenging content well, like the like frustrating part is like Bungie's done challenging content well before. Like we've seen it in the raids we've gotten in D2, we've seen it in Destiny 1, so like it's there. Like I think they're just afraid of one going back to like a hard mode because that means more like the level of like intellect to like make a really good hard mode and then dumb it down to like normal mode is just it's kind of like asking a lot because like right it's easy to make it punishing, you just slap on like stupid modifiers that just one shot you and all that, so
All the
like that's
prestige
really
raids.
easy. Like that's the easy answer, right? To make punishing content, it's just make us weaker, make the enemy stronger. We have to do more damage, right? So I think one, they're scared to um, make challenging content because it's a lot of resources they have to put into, and then what are they getting out of it? Like the amount of people that raid right now is already a low percentage, and so if you were to make that even smaller, you're putting all these resources into making this challenging content that really not very many people's gonna see. So
Now let me ask you something. You're a Destiny 1 player, Legionless. Do you
Yeah.
like in Destiny 1, the hard mode, right? There was no revives. Do you categorize that as like a skilled thing, or is that like just a punishing thing?
It's 100% punishing. Like
Yeah.
it's really annoying because it was I always hated the no revives in raids in D1 because like it was just annoying, right? You just someone died, well we can't do it now. There's no way to like play around that. Like no skill's gonna come involved, so we're just gonna wipe to reset it. So it's really
Unless-
annoying.
Unless you had a whole team of warlocks.
Well, yeah, but that's a different time. So like, I do like how now you can revive people because like that adds like a layer of difficulty where like you have to like make the revive.
Leave your
But-
post, make the revive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like what's missing is, oh shit, they died. I have to go revive them. Like it's kind of fine. Like it's not very difficult to go get the revive. There's no like risk in getting it. It's very just lackadaisical. Just go get the revive. And then like a small nitpick that I hate is like the timer on the revive because like that's just stupid. Like
Yeah.
like
Just
If
get rid
it's-
of it, right?
if
Because
it's-
already
if it's
limited
too-
to
Yeah, like if it's already too difficult to get the person to revive them, like why should we have like a timer that would just like, hey, you lose because we didn't get the timer, like,
And you're stopping
or
hero
be
moments when you do that as well,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because now you can't get a guy to clutch the raid because the time's running out.
Okay,
Yeah.
but having people thinking about hero moments makes the raid groups bad. I like that about year one raids, or where I would tell people don't try and play around a hero moment because you're going to get us all wiped. I like that there's a timer and there's a consequence to dying. You said it's just punishing and not a skill thing. I think in some things like what would be an example?
Well, it's challenging when someone dies because then like if because like when you don't have the revive, right, you're just like, yeah, well, fuck it, we're just gonna wipe. Like that's not a challenge.
No,
Check
that's not
off.
a challenge. I agree with that. But I mean, like, not dying. Okay, I did kind of like it where in the 1D1 raid I played and someone died, you could still finish the encounter because it didn't instantly wipe you just because someone was dead. That was nice.
Yeah.
But like not dying is kind of important and then definitely a skill thing. Even in like Crown of Sorrows, where you'd say, "Oh well, I got killed by a crystal. That's BS." No, you just didn't know where the crystal spawned.
Yeah.
That's a skill thing on your part. So it's kind of nice there.
So wipe mechanics are okay.
I just don't like how the revive timer, like if we're gonna say it takes skill, it's like individual skill, and I'd rather have like the team skill be tested. They have to work around that death. I think that's more challenging and more entertaining.
Yeah, and I disagree. I think hero moments can be fucking awesome and just create such a cool moment in a raid party when that guy just does something freaking amazing and finishes off the boss, and you're like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe you just did that. And I see what you're saying too, Face. Like, you don't want people to like try to strive for that all the time and just kind of, I don't know.
It might have
aim
just
for
been
that
the
to be
people I was
goal.
playing with, but oh man, it got so
Oh,
annoying.
sure, yeah. But it's just like you kind of just take away that like magical moment. I don't know, in a raid. So
Yeah, and it's like not even so much like an individual like great hero moment. Like it's like a really cool feeling for like a raid team to come together and like be able to clutch out that raid when like someone dies. So
yeah, it could be a 5-man, let's say, hero moment. It doesn't have to be, or even a 4-man. But it's just cool. I miss it. All right, should we move on
yeah, I think we've beat that.
to the ground?
Yep, and then
You want to review some of the stuff?
go ahead, lead us.
Is that where we
Who's
are? Am I skipping?
Moriarty?
That is Daddy's Juice.
Oh,
Teddy!
okay.
Take us away, Matt. What's next?
So wait, where are we? We're reviewing the content from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah, so like, what stuff have we had that is punishing versus challenging? One thing that I wanted to talk about was, how do you feel about Leviathan Prestige mode? Did that
I
do
liked
it?
it. That was good for me. I feel like that did what it needed to do for a hard mode. That felt like a hard mode raid for me from Destiny 1. And then now, when Prestige SOS came out, Spire of Stars, and then Prestige Eater Worlds came out, it was so lazy to me because you just popped modifiers on there and just made it grueling. And then the weapon changes, right, every week to week with the you have to use
change
a
your
particular
loadout.
I was like, and I didn't mind that too much if the modifiers weren't there. But then they did both, and it just kind of ruined the experience. I think I only did like maybe 5 of each one of those Prestige. They just weren't that fun. It wasn't fun to get in there. It was punishing. It wasn't, like a skill-based thing at that point. But Prestige Levi did it the right way. They actually changed a little bit of the mechanics in there and stuff. You know what I mean? How did you feel, Face?
I agree.
Or Legion?
I agree. I think Prestige Leviathan like really ticked the boxes, like we were kind of saying. So like it was challenging instead of punishing. So like it was entertaining. It was anyway, my point is like the only thing that they missed was really the loot wasn't there. So like the only good loot from uh all of the year one raids is just Midnight Coup, and then anything else even really. I don't think
Midnight
so.
Coup, there was that one cluster rocket,
Oh yeah,
inaugural
Sins of the
address from
Past.
Sins of the
Godroll.
past.
Yeah,
Zenith of Your Kind was since we had EP. And then
yeah.
I don't know.
Last of the Legion and that fusion rifle. I don't even know why they added those. Those are just jokes. But
Yeah, so like it ticked the boxes. It just didn't have the loot at the end. So
Yeah.
and that's kind of like a separate topic is why they're not putting like great loot into the raids. And yeah, that's just a different topic about the whole loot spectrum of the game. It's just not great. But the shooting is great, and that's why we all come back. Face, did you have any thoughts
Shed some
about
light.
how you liked it?
Play, well, so the other day, I think it was Wednesday. I got all hyped up because one of my friends that I've been playing with recently needs Luna boots, and he's a useless warlock without them. So we've been doing the year one raids to try and get them for him, and I got a group together. Rex and Rabbit were in there, and they're in chat here. And I'm like, let's do Prestige Levy. It'll be fun. And I think Rex had done it a few times. I know Fizz had done it once. I don't think anyone in there had actually done Prestige Levy, though. No, one person hadn't done it, the raid at all since it launched.
Oh, load.
I don't know. Like, Prestige Dogs is fun because it just adds more dogs and different pathing. The whole dogs function a little weirdly. But, like, it's... I would call it a
bathers fight.
Fun, but I wouldn't call it challenging. You like the Prestige baths?
Yeah, it makes
Prestige baths is shit.
You have to kill the guy quicker because like
kill the guy quicker.
Yeah, he drops the oil that like gets rid of your buff.
How fucking lazy are you? They never get out of the well anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
like
yeah.
maybe
I'm kind of trying to think about it like when it first came out. Why was it good? Like we're just so much stronger now.
Well, when it first came out,
that's the point.
Yeah, that was it definitely added some challenge, but then again, we did have double primaries, and people just could never kill their bather.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But as far as challenge goes, I wouldn't quite say that was challenging. I would have preferred to see something more. Like, they did add a really cool challenging aspect to it, which was if you didn't one phase it, you had to go to a specific plate. But like Rex and Rabbit don't know that. Yeah. Even back then, you didn't not one phase it. If you did, you just left the raid and restarted. Or you didn't leave the raid, you just restarted the encounter. Because obviously someone messed up their damage, even in year one when we only had double primaries.
Yeah, so I guess like that's kind of like the one of the core issues is like everything just kind of boils down to like the equation just being do as much damage as possible. So like, and this is kind of like, so for all the people that didn't play D1, the King's Fall raid, what you had to do for the boss fight was you had to kill these special ogres. It was like a square, so like if the arena's like this, you have an ogre here, 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 and here.
Essentially like each corner.
When you kill each one, they drop a giant ball of light, and you would step into the ball of light to detonate it. And so that's how you damage the boss. It's like each ball of light would damage Oryx, the boss. So like,
God, I missed that. Right?
That's where like it doesn't matter how powerful we are, because we're not going to do more damage to the boss, because we're like limited with the.
You're limited to the amount of damage you do per bomb, I guess you could call it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it had to take a certain amount of phases. So if you fucked up within those phases, that's on you, and that could happen, you know.
Yeah. So like we're kind of like talking about like
different
doing
shit.
damage. Like that's kind of like what some of the stuff I want to see. Like we don't have to like completely avoid boss fights where we're trying to do as much melting as possible. I want to see like more diversity. So like having content where they use solutions not to just do more damage.
I know that some people like the whole boss melting thing, and others, like some people really like Scourge because the boss was a clear and present threat the whole time, even if you couldn't damage him. But like that actually doing damage to the boss is generally kind of lame. You just sit there with a well, and that's it.
Yep.
I mean, you sit there holding down your rapid fire nade launcher or whatever because it's automatically reloading. So yeah, I would love to see that stuff like that Oryx fight, or like in Legit Riven. You do. The intention of Legit Riven was great because you do damage to her by killing those boils, but you did have a chance to add some additional damage during the other phases. So it didn't have to be a 2-phase, even though you're supposed to do the majority of the damage through mechanics.
Yeah. I agree.
As for the rest of the Prestige Levy changes, I really like the Callus one. They all kind of just resulted in more people have to do more things except for Baz, which is why I dislike Baz. In Gauntlet, everyone's got to run, which is a minor inconvenience. It's a shitty encounter anyway. Dogs is decent, Baz is there. But Prestige Callus, like, that added a whole new dimension to the fight, because back when you double primaries, it was fine because you had one weapon to shoot the scions and one weapon to shoot the ads. But now most of us run with a primary and a special weapon. You've got to be able to hit those scions as you're sliding down the ramp, although hopefully your teammates are doing that too. But you still need to have something to hit all those skulls, and it's back and forth.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot more challenging, right? Not punishing, because there's one little thing they changed in there, right? With you had to like punch to go back inside of the void room or whatever it was.
Yep.
Right, but it made it so much like more hectic, and people more on their toes and stuff. And that's a really fun encounter on Prestige for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and adds like the randomness of who gets put into like the void room. So like that's kind of like what I was saying, right? Like having like you have to juggle the multiple things, and then there's like, hey, a curveball might get thrown in, like someone unexpected gets forced to do a job they weren't really prepared for, maybe. So, yeah, the Callus fight in Prestige Leviathan I think is really really nice for like having that harder difficulty.
Definitely. Do you guys have anything else to add on Prestige Leviathan there?
The loot sucked. That's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Loot sucked.
Loot kind of sucked in general, though.
Yeah.
So that's not really it. I think Prestige Leviathan was why it was so disappointing when they came out with the Prestige raid layers. Like, here's some modifiers. So go have fun, I suppose. And then you had to use the specific weapons. I don't know. It's taking the freedom of choice out of it, or taking agency out of your hands, just like something like the Oryx fight would, where it's not on you to do the to do damage. You just have to do the mechanics to get there. But I think it took it too far. Like, I don't want to use those shitty weapons. This is a game about collecting weapons, and now you're telling me that I have to use ones I don't like?
Yeah.
Like, and some of them were just fucking horrible, man. Especially for like that meta back then. They're just not fun.
Yeah.
It just was not fun.
Sidearms
Why?
scouts.
Like, I don't want to use that. I never want to use that. Yeah.
So how do you guys think they can kind of get the whole package right? Like having normal mode, hard mode, good loot, and then making like the time that you put in worth it.
Well, Halford mentioned earlier
That's a
that they
lot.
have to balance it with they have to balance doing mechanics and making complicated mechanics like Riven with matchmate. Because if you just make a bunch of really complicated raids, still most people aren't going to do them,
Mhm.
even if they're super awesome. People just aren't going to join up and do them unless maybe they specifically get Sherpa and then just that one time. Whereas something like Menagerie. So actually, before then, I would be curious. What do you think of the Menagerie encounters in terms of challenging or punishing?
Some of them were good, and then some of them were just lame. Like the mockery you mentioned. Like that one is ridiculous. But then like the night one, I think we talked about it last week when we were discussing the
Riposte.
The riposte. That one's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like, you know?
I think that one's just punishing when they throw on the
Ogres.
modifier
Blackout.
where you just
Modifiers.
get one shot by everything. But other than that, I think like all of the encounters in the Menagerie are fine.
Until you get
Not
to
too
heroic.
difficult. They're
Well,
fine for like a match made activity, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, with heroic only being bad because again, modifiers, everyone's favorite thing.
Yeah.
So then I don't know. With raids, I'd definitely love to see more complicated stuff, or even just. Well, I know they're not going to do it because they specifically said that they don't want the complete design to be trapped behind a harder version of the raid.
Really like
That would-
that though, man.
It added prestige to finishing it. It was a fun thing to do that you knew a lot of people weren't going to do, and that was a little bit of what made it fun. But it was also just actually challenging. You can just sit
Yeah.
there bored out of your mind because it's Vault. Oh, hooray! Woo!
So then would you say that for like normal mode you would want, I guess like once you get comfortable with it, like it goes really fast, and then like hard mode, like it slows down a little bit, but like or maybe even the speed stays the same, but like I keep using the same example. More plates get added for you to spin, and then like how do you think the loot can come into all of that? Like, do you have the chase in normal mode be to get loot that helps you in hard mode, or how do you bring loot into that equation?
Like the gear that drops, like to keep you playing loot, or just what do you mean loot?
Yeah.
I have a really
the drops
unpopular
from
opinion. The only way you're gonna play is if RNG. If RNG is just shit, and I know no one actually wants that, but the only way you're gonna keep chasing things is if you're not getting those things.
If you're only playing the game because there's a specific thing
Yeah.
you want and you're not enjoying playing the game,
Yeah.
maybe don't play the game.
But some people are actually like that, where they're just chasing one thing, and then they don't want to do that raid or whatever menage. You know what I mean? Anymore, they're done. Like obviously, we enjoy the game enough to just fuck around and do Aspire
So-
Stars when things are dropping at 380. We don't care. Like it's fun.
So
Well,
you're
then-
saying that you want a fixed roll on the raid
No,
stuff,
not
so then when you
fixed
finally get it,
necessarily. Like
He'd prefer an even worse perk pool so that you have to, grind out that one thing a lot more.
I don't know if I prefer it. It makes some people keep playing. Like I had a buddy, he never got Fatebringer in Destiny 1, right? So he ran that encounter, it was Templar, every fucking week. It kept him coming back, you know? And then you know what? When he got it, he stopped running it. And
I might
that's
be
just
using
some
this
people.
term wrong, but that sounds like Stockholm Syndrome, not a fun game experience.
Anyway, but I mean, I think we all agree. We most of us enjoy the
Well-
game enough to play it.
well,
Some people
I think
don't.
we kind of talked about it last time that D1 is not very comparable to now because
Fair.
D1, like the heyday,
Well-
everyone looks
well-
back with rose-colored glasses
here's-
is completely
this.
different. There's the only game.
Leviathan had fixed rolls, right? Same thing
Mhm.
as, let's say, Volt of Glass. But I feel like those weapons dropped too easily sometimes. Like we all got Midnight Coup pretty easily and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean,
I
I've
mean, I
heard
feel
some
like
people say that they never gotten it.
maybe
and-
you're right. Maybe I got lucky. I don't know. But for me, I felt like RNG was way worse in the first game, but it almost made me excited more when I got something. That makes sense. Even if
Well,
it
yeah, I guess
sucked.
that's like one way to look at it, but I
Like,
think
go look up videos of people getting Galahorn, screaming like little girls, all excited about it. It's fun to see that kind of stuff, you know. in my opinion.
I just think
anyway.
it's a different game now. There's like
Yeah.
like look at how many activities there are. If you have
Dude,
that
sure.
one thing, but for every activity alone, that's way too much. Like people don't have the time. Even the streamers, right? They don't have the time investment to get that one thing. People can't even get a good spare rations to drop. So that's kind of like the same thing, right? They can even run that as many times as they want, and they're not limited to the 3 times in a raid, like the D1 raid. So I don't think that's the answer, personally. You could disagree, but I don't think that's the answer.
No, like I said, unpopular opinion. I'm open to other things as well. It's just I don't
Too
know.
much RNG is kind of what Anthem did, where you had all those inscriptions you had to get to match whatever build you were doing. That was just bad. Like that was just not fun. So
Yeah.
I think that would just exacerbate Destiny's loot problem, not fix it. Bucket mentioned adding prestige mode, making bosses have new mechanics. So I like that. I like making bosses have new mechanics. But then it says making gear cap something like 750, but then prestige mode is the only way to get to 765 gear.
I love that idea.
I don't.
I like
light cap
Sorry.
is kind of
I don't.
light cap is arbitrary and kind
That's
of
why I don't like
pointless
it.
in most situations because
But-
it's not even like WoW where getting a higher eye level means you're doing more damage because you have better gear. It's just you have a higher eye level. Cool.
Yeah, but that you're taking less damage, correct? When you're at a higher level, let's say.
In the very
If the
newest
content
activities,
allows it.
sometimes. So
If
like
the
I think
content allows it, like that's why when we go back to like our year 1 raids were lower down to like that delta, so like that's why we're not like invincible in there.
Yeah. I do remember that.
it could be interesting, especially if they go with like if your light level impacted the amount of mods that you could put on armor. I think that would add more depth, which would make light level meaningful instead of just I'm 750. I can go back to Zerging in raids and not have to sit behind a box with a pulse rifle just to stay alive. So
Yeah.
I don't think that adding more light level is the way to fix it. I do really like adding more mechanics. So I've been playing WoW a decent amount recently. I'm sure I'm going to get flack for this, but I like the way that they deal with LFR looking for raid. So I can just hit a button and do an LFR raid. Now, of course, WoW's completely different because you can have mechanics that are just stand here, do this with this buff, and the main gameplay is your rotation and not like doing the COS mechanics with a group.
Okay.
But what they do is like they have debuffs where one of them you have to move around so that you don't get frozen in normal mode, but on LFR mode it just slowly stacks up or it just takes damage over time or something. They drastically reduce all of the mechanics, which is basically what you guys said Oryx hard mode was like. They built hard mode on Oryx and they just took out mechanics to do it. I know it goes against what they said about not wanting to gate the full experience behind a difficulty bar like that. Yeah, tourist mode. That would be. It's a way to get in, do the raid a bit. Maybe they don't have high level raid specific drops, or there are only certain ones that you can get from those encounters. But then people have a chance to get in, do the raids.
Okay.
Well, I think the answer to
Not
that really is just to have an in-game LFG system, right?
That would be helpful. Other than
I mean, they had the Bungie
Guided.
forums, right? Like, just
Yeah.
throw that in the game somewhere. Make that happen.
Well, they would need to make a tool. Like I'm looking for
Anything can happen.
Hunter XYZ. I'm looking for someone that's experienced, and like it's more than just like a simple thing.
Well, I know it's not simple, but they've had 5 years to come up with something.
Yeah, but they got free third-party people doing it, and they're doing a decent job. So why take the time to do it themselves when, right? Third parties doing it, and then that's kind of like, right? They can just get people to do the stuff. They just want to focus on the game.
Bucket made the comment that the problem with tourist mode in G2 is you'd be left with bosses that stood still and you attacked it. and that sounds an awful lot like Galrin damage phase and Riven damage phase.
There you go. But guys, I don't want to be that guy, but we've been on the Leviathan stuff for a while. Let's move on to the speed Nightfalls in year 1.
Oh my god. Were you guys even playing during those?
Oh, I remember that on console, man. I got my
it's
Rat
not.
King during that time, and you had to have 5 minutes left on that shit.
Oh, I remember that because it was like the beginning.
It was just finish it within a time limit.
Yeah, I think I did that on console. I remember doing that for Rat
That was
King.
not fun because you needed the 5 minutes arms dealer. I remember.
Yeah.
I hate it's funny because I said that I liked the timed stuff for the Outbreak and the Whisper of the Worm. I like that, but I don't know why I'm indifferent with the Nightfalls. I fucking hate it having a timer. I don't know why. Maybe because they put that quest for the Rat King in there and you needed to have time left on the clock.
I mean, I'm fine with the timer for a couple quests, but I just hate timers
in general.
Yeah. Right. It just kind of comes down to why is this difficult? Yeah, well, the timer hit 0, and it wiped us, so that was why it was difficult.
So then, what do you think about the cards that we have now? That's just giving you more opportunities to make it more punishing.
The cards? You mean the Nightfall card?
Yeah.
5 of Swords, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a big issue, right? It's the modifiers suck. And the modifiers are so what I liked about D1 was the modifiers were there more to change how you played. So there was 2 modifiers that are no longer in there now called small arms, which increase the damage of your primary weapons, and then there were specialists, which increased the damage of your special weapons. And so you get some really cool activities when those were coming up, because then you let's say we have specialists and arc burn or arc sage or whatever you want to call it. If we get that right now, you put on a cold heart, you're changing how you play by using these weapons that you otherwise are never going to use. It changes up the mountaintop recluse form of the Raven loadout that we're all using. It's that's kind of what I like to see the modifiers change to, is instead of oh, we're gonna make this content as unfun as possible, we're gonna make it the content fun and change how you play the content that you've already done. And so that's what I envision the modifiers in my ideal version of Destiny, because it's a great way to repurpose the content we've already gotten and make it a little bit fresher and change it up.
Do you guys want to move on from the Nightfalls?
Well,
go ahead.
We're kind of in the modifiers here.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that stuff like small arms and that is better than what they did for the Prestige Year 1 raids, just because it's not saying you have to use a sidearm, it's saying if you use these weapons you'll benefit from doing it?
Well, I think it's kind of completely different, because the Prestige raids, they locked the loadouts, you had to use that exact weapon, whereas modifiers that increase the damage of all the primaries you do, all the specials you do, I think it changes it up. So I think it's completely different. But
I agree. It's a very different feel than you have to
and
use.
that could be a good way to change up the fights. I'd be fine if they had modifiers in the raid that rotated, just make them fun and change how we do the raid, instead of where we're just gonna make this harder and harder. We're gonna throw blackout, we're gonna throw glass,
which are all modifiers that have no benefit to them.
Yeah.
Or I guess glass is supposed to make you regen faster, but
yeah, I think you have half health or something like that, and whatever.
Yeah, stupid stuff anyway.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents on changing modifiers, that they give us more that make the content we do fun, have less of make it feel awful. Take us away, Matt.
All right, I'm actually gonna stay out of this one. We're gonna talk about the Curse of Osiris DLC. This is where I stopped playing for the whole entire season. Did not play. I played Eater of Worlds later, so when we get to that, we'll get to that. So, what do you guys think about the Weapon Forge within the Trials of Osiris DLC?
I mean, so full disclosure, I did not play the game.
I don't blame you.
No, maybe even sooner, like October, November until June or July. So like I missed all of that, but I like the idea of it. I think it would have been really great if there were random rolls, and because like it's essentially the forges we have now, just a little bit different. So I think it would have been great with random rolls. It's just kind of useless with the fixed rolls because you do it once, get the thing, and you're done.
Face, you played a lot during this time, right?
Yeah. There was no challenge in Curse of Osiris. There wasn't even really even any punishing. It was just a kind of boring for the most part.
And I saved the raid for last because I felt like we were gonna go through that quickly. What do you guys think about Eaters of World as a whole, and in terms of like punishing and challenging as well?
Well, I remember a lot of people had serious issues at first getting through it. Again, because you couldn't do a lot of damage with heavies. The premier strat was just tether everything and then super everything to death, which meant that you had your heavy ammo. You could use that to just clear ads, which got Rex would have loved it because you can use LMGs, which means that I don't know. It just was weird. I know my group took like 3 days to finish it, but my group never finished Prestige Levion console and was not exemplary, to put it nicely. The world's first was beaten in like 2 hours by a pug group. So
nice.
I don't know. I wouldn't say there was much.
Well,
I mean, I think it's fine. Like not all the raids have to be like super difficult because it was a raid layer, so it wasn't a raid; it was a layer. So like, I guess it's kind of fine. Yeah, it's a bummer.
First one we got, right?
Yeah,
first
I mean,
raid,
like
up in the air. Like, what the fuck is this? Is this a raid or is this a strike? Like, no one knew.
yeah, I mean, like it was like kind of a bummer, right? That it's not very difficult. Is what it is, I guess.
I think the last encounter was interesting enough. But the rest of the raid was kind of just like, especially the beginning. So I really don't have too much to say on that. I think I've only done that raid like maybe 20 times.
Well, yeah, like the first half is just
not my favorite.
The first half is cinnamon, and the rest of the half is vanilla. They just don't really go well together.
All right, we good to move on to the next expansion, or?
Yeah, so in Warmind, we had Spire of Stars, which took like 7 hours for World's First, with Deej's quote, of course, "You asked for harder raids, and this is what happens," which didn't age entirely well when the next raid took a day to finish.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
But as far as Spire of Stars goes, it was good. We already discussed this raid a lot.
Yep.
What I'm curious about is, do you think that this discussion of challenging, yes, our SOS group, Monka, do you think that this idea of challenging versus punishing content applies to single-player pursuits at all? Things like the resonant stems on Mars and all that?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's just annoying content. I wouldn't say... Maybe it's punishing. Maybe you could classify that as punishing, maybe.
Yeah, that's just kind of like low drop rates.
Bitch.
Yeah, that's just kind of like the low drop rate, like low RNG shit that map apparently loves.
Well, no.
Do you have Wayfarer, Matt?
No. But I don't want it either. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not actively trying to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were skilled enough.
He's a smart ass. You hear that? How long did it take you, Legion?
To what, get all of the seals?
No, that particular one. That was a while, no?
I mean, I didn't play D2 until last June. So it took me from having not played any of year one or very much of year one, so from like Forsaken until like, I don't know, January, February.
Kato said it took him 3 weeks.
Not too long.
No, actually, yeah, there's not too much to talk about more in these year ones. We don't need to go so strictly chronological.
Yeah.
But there is an important one here of EP pre and post nerf.
Mm-hmm.
When apparently they thought that we were supposed to do it with 3 people, but we had people in there raid leading with 9 people.
We figured that shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But you know what? They should have just opened that up. I'm sorry. Because for when it was considered just a 3-person event, wasn't it like ridiculously punishing? To the point where most groups of 3 could not even touch it? I never did it with just 3 people, for the record.
Yeah, you couldn't do it with 3. Like,
Yeah.
you needed the 9, and like I even had some times where you had the 9 and we still failed.
Yeah. So there's that punishing content right there versus the challenging, right?
Yeah.
Well, what about the bosses on that? The bosses weren't anything too special for the most part. They had some mechanics that weren't just strictly punishing. You had to get your group to work around those. Was it just the rest of the event was too bad because of the timers and all that shit?
Yeah, I think so. And this is like escalation protocol is something I'd like to get freshened up, cleaned up a little bit. Like, it wasn't such a bad activity. 7 rounds is a little long for where I think it lies. I think it lies like on like if this is the level where like Crucible, Gambit, like other low tier match made activities lie, I think that's where it lies. So 1, it was way too long. I'd like to see like, I think 4 rounds is fine. Like, you do 3 regular rounds and then a boss at the end, and the bosses were fine. They each had like a 1 mechanic, not too difficult. So like, I think they were fine for what they are, right? If we're saying that they're bottom tier activities, then yeah, they're fine. But if we're saying that they're harder level activities, definitely too easy.
Yeah.
Other thoughts on EP?
I felt like it was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think they fixed a lot of those issues when Blind Well came out,
Yep.
and they made Blind Well a lot more fun by letting us spam supers, even though it's still boring.
Well, that's like what are you doing Blind Well for now? That's the issue. Refresh your content. That's what bothers me about some of the like you have so much content and it's being wasted.
Yeah, I think Blind Well was just a reaction of year 1 like being so bad, and they weren't able to have like the foresight of designing content that would be really good for like a long period of time. So that's kind of where I chalk that up to, and that's fine. But I do think they're kind of getting out of like the damage control point now. So this is why like right now having like these conversations are really good, because like they're out of damage control. They're stopping so reactionary. They can start planning the future, and that's why like hearing them say that they've changed like their identity of what they want going forward as a deeper RPG is. So that's kind of why I think this is a really good time to like have these conversations and
see what sort of shit they should do.
Yeah, and repurposing the content is something they can consider now and make it have greater longevity.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what sort of stuff they keep that they've learned. Weird. And then, of course,
check out our podcast. They'll learn everything that we want.
For reference, Blindwell wasn't really hard first week, especially because of Telesto, the Besto. You just shoot it at the ground, and it would explode, and it would progress the waves. So
What
it
a
was
bad
basically
glitch.
just sitting in the middle of the thing and then doing the boss was the whole encounter. So
Yeah.
Somebody told me about that actually, and I thought they were memeing. I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm gonna shoot the floor and things are gonna die." And then I was like, "Okay, this is fucking broken."
Yeah, I think I thought the same thing at first, and then
Yeah,
I
so
did it,
you're
and I was
fucking
like, well,
with me.
shit. Alright, so let's move on to the annual pass.
Wait. We skipped Last Wish, no?
I think we've kind of talked all
We
about
covered it. You don't want to
the
discuss
raids.
well, my TLDR on Last Wish specifically would be good raid, bad day one experience
Yep,
that
I'm on
was
board
just
with that.
punishing.
it? Can we all agree with
Because-
that, and then we'll move on?
It plays like a different game. It doesn't play like Destiny 2. It plays like a cover-based shooter at the beginning, and I
It's
did not
Division
enjoy it.
2. I'm joking,
But there's actually one thing in Forsaken that I really wanted to talk about, which was the Shattered Throne, where they designed the dungeon to be completed with 3 people. And I know some people have issues completing it, but it's not really that hard at all. And then now in Solstice, they're going to be asking us to go through and do it, spoilers of course, with 2 people to masterwork one of the pieces of gear. Would you consider that challenging, punishing? What do you think about that dungeon and how they designed it?
you want to take it, Legion?
I'll let you go first.
I think it's actually challenging because, like, based on what you just said, 3 people, especially like when you're 750, and I don't know if there's like a delta there or whatever, but when you're max level for it, and you have a good group and it's 3 people, you're going through it pretty quickly. I did it last week with Dredge and Snow. He's in the clan, and it was just me and him, and we fucked it up. Like, it was easy with 2 people. It's really not that bad. I just did it.
Yeah.
And I think if you're of light and you kind of like know the encounter, it's actually fun. Like, you know, you're 2-manning it versus a 3-man. It's a little more tough, but it's really not that bad. So I would not classify that as punishing. I'll just maybe not, I don't necessarily think it's too challenging, but if I had to pick one or the 2, it'd be the challenging part for sure.
Yeah, I kind of put it like a little bit above bottom tier activities. Like it's kind of in the middle. And it's kind of like an area that they could probably make more of. Like they got the bottom row content really well. Couple mid-core difficulty things, and then quote unquote hard stuff, right? That's kind of what we're talking about is needs to be really fleshed out more. But I think it also should be worth noting that the mid-core stuff needs to be fleshed out as well.
Now that we're on the topic of Shattered Throne, I'd really like to see more of that too. Like another 3-man dungeon. Give us another one of those somewhere along the line.
That could be a lot of fun.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the annual pass. So what do you guys kind of rate the Forges, Niobe Labs, Gambit Prime, Reckoning, Menagerie? Let's kind of like go over the base level stuff. Where do you think that lands on like this spectrum of like really challenging and really punishing?
I don't think any of it. I think that Heroic, Flawless Menagerie, and Tier 3 Reckoning with no voice comms are both more punishing than challenging. But if you're on voice with a group, and Reckoning's Tier 3 even, is stupid easy. Heroic, Flawless Menagerie is not fun regardless of how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Niobe Labs is one that I think is kind of both. Like, it's just
Yeah.
not really Destiny gameplay. I know that people are like, oh, well, puzzles have been a part of Destiny forever. And yes, that's awesome. But you're sitting there shooting a bunch of symbols on the wall, looking up French forests for some reason.
Yeah.
That's just kind of... I'd rather have, like...
It's like playing
I would have
a shitty
preferred if it
Zelda
was just a
game.
challenging encounter that you had to finish, like a Shattered Throne type thing that you had to do to unlock Berguzia. I think that would have been more interesting. So it was punishing in that it was just a weird non-Destiny 2 like gameplay thing, but it was also challenging because I mean, who knows what all those puzzles mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think all of them were pretty easy. Most of them fall into the bottom tier difficulty of content. Niobe Labs, I think it was more punishing just because like it's really just a big step away from Destiny, like you were saying. Like it feels like we're playing like a mystery game, something completely else, like completely different, right?
Yep.
And then yeah, I kind of agree with what you were saying, except obviously get Reckoning way too punishing, even with like, and that's kind of the issue, right? Like if it's fine only in a 3-man stacked group or 4-man stacked group or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of explain, like I don't need to say anything, right? Like it's punishing because it's a match made activity, and it's only really fine once you get into a 4-man stacked group. Everything else I'm pretty fine with.
Would you have been fine then? I mean, Reckoning Tier 3 is really just Reckoning Tier 2 with things tightened up a bit. Would you have been fine if they did what they did with Heroic Menagerie? Which is why I think they did that with Heroic Menagerie, where you can't matchmake into it.
What, just for tier 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would have been okay. But then
they would have had
the
to change
bridge
the
was just
loot
a
a
mess.
bit.
I just think
I
the
mean, I
bridge is a
would,
mess to me.
I think Reckoning is like, it's still in like that area where like it's better to be match made for, because it's really simple. I think like you just kind of just hold W, move forward, shoot things, right? It's not very difficult. And when you get into hard mode Menagerie, like Heroic mode Heroic Menagerie, even then I feel like they still could have done matchmaking with that. It's just what's difficult is going for the flawless. Because like I've been in flawless, or not flawless, but like Heroic Menagerie runs where like we use 0 comms, and it's fine. It's not like a perfect run, but it's still not like very difficult. I think they just wanted to add a little pomp and circumstance to the heroic modes. Say, hey, you need a fire team to do this. Matt.
The Reckoning? Is that what we're talking about? You want to move on to the next one? Because The Reckoning is... I hate it.
I think we can all agree that we hate that.
Let's do the Niobe Labs.
I mean, we kind of discussed that.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you too caught up in chat there?
Yeah. Anyway. We didn't talk about that raid.
Scourge of the Past?
Yeah. We didn't bring it up.
I don't know. It's not difficult. It's definitely not punishing.
It's like my least favorite raid in Destiny 2, I think, as a whole. Maybe next to Eaters.
It's kind of just boring.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the last encounter. I think that's fun, and I think the Sparrow race is a good start to more Sparrow-based content in the game, please.
Yeah.
We're getting racist soon again? No, I don't know.
But, like, the first encounter, I don't know if it's too much rinse and repeat. It does a good job of teaching it, but...
Yeah, they definitely beat that into the ground. That you're reading a map and you're going to map locations.
I don't know what they could have done for that.
Yeah, but at like the same time, I think the first area is fine because like it's like a completely different environment. So like we're getting a way bigger area than we're used to. So like our loadouts are changing. We're playing it a little bit differently because we're not on top of each other the whole time. So I think Scourge is like, it's fine because we don't need like all, at least in my opinion, I don't think we need all of the raids to be like ball crushingly difficult, because we can have like some raids be where we just want to speed through them as quickly as possible. Like that opens like the door for like speedrunners, and like because there's that small area of people that want to do that, and then there's like a bigger group that watches that and finds that entertaining. So I don't think like
Well, but there's a
taking
big
that
difference
out.
between brutal difficulty and whatever the heck is up with Scourge of the Past. I don't know. Like, we ran Spire, and it was a ton of fun to do, even though it's considered one of the most complex raids. Scourge is just kind of... I don't know if it's not complex enough, or if something about it just makes it boring to me. And it doesn't really fall on the spectrum of challenging or punishing. Except maybe if you're not hitting enough stun spots.
Yeah, I think like the issue with that is like there's just not enough going on, like not enough pain points, not enough problems that need to be solved, right? Like, and that's why you're able to like low man it so easily and speed run it so easily. Is there's very little going on. Like, you drop some balls here, you shoot some stuff on the boss to get his shield down, stand in one spot, do damage.
Yeah.
My thing about their raid is they advertise the shit out of that being a big fucking space, and I guess it is. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, we're getting a lengthy kind of raid here, or a raid layer, right? It's going to be more kind of leading towards the raid side than a raid layer, like the small things we were getting. So that was exciting to me. And obviously, it's just not... It's not something that takes a long time to beat. Like you guys were saying, you can speedrun it really fast, and I just feel like
6 minutes or something.
Yeah. I feel like it was just advertised a little differently. What did they say? It was the size of Leviathan or something like that? I don't know. They used some kind
they
of
said
wording
something like that.
And I was like, all right, but obviously, just I feel like they thought it was bigger than it was per se. Like the whole beginning part with the map and that whole layout.
Well, it's huge. It's just
but it doesn't
not
feel like it's easy.
It's empty.
Too easy. Like,
it's as big as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle.
There you go. That's a great way to put it.
So yeah.
So future podcast topics. So we're thinking about talking about how to balance the looter versus the shooter. So like the activity versus like how well it feels to play the activity. The incentivization of the activity and like how fun the activity is. We're gonna talk about recycling content versus repurposing it. Why are people like afraid to, or maybe not even afraid, but why are they so against repurposing content and scream it's recycled? We're gonna talk about what our favorite class in Destiny is and why. And we also want to talk about how to improve Titans in PvE, as well as is the content in D2 just too wide and needs to be a little more depth, like we were just saying. Is it as wide as an ocean and deep as a puddle? So I think now we're going to move to the Q&A session. So Rabbit, if you can give me the questions in my DMs, we'll start going through the Q&A.
Literally have no questions. All right, fun.
Guys.
Awesome. So we'll just take I guess we'll take a minute to see if anyone has any questions. Doesn't have to be necessarily on topic, but in the same realm. So not why is the sky blue, but just drop the questions in chat, and Rabbit's gonna collect them.
You are the current best player in KNG. You might be the only member in KNG.
No, wait. I don't know if this is something we should talk about, but there's a lost clan out there.
KNG 3.
Yeah. So there's still a KNG clan that exists.
Are there
I don't know
people in there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think so.
That's fucking awesome.
I don't know if it was just that they didn't transfer over, or if that was one of the clans that we lost access to or got deleted at some point.
It was one of the ones we we thought we lost access to, and we thought that got deleted because of it. So,
So
we
I
have
mean,
to log in for that.
joking about being the only player in KNG, there might actually be. Oh yeah, that's why we didn't have it. We didn't have owner of that clan. Because it was still Rex, I think. Other Rex, not you, Rex.
Maybe.
I think that was it.
I
Happer just
think,
brought that
remember
up.
we were trying to get them all together, and he just wouldn't like give us information.
He wasn't able to log
he
in or
was-
something.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't transfer ownership or some lame.
Yeah, he definitely
Excuse
didn't
like
try
that.
that hard to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, if you see a KNG out there, let us know.
Kentucky Nerd Gaming 3.
Help, we've lost a clan and can't find
There
it.
you go. Rex has a good question here. Outside of raids, what's your favorite content? Gambit, Reckoning, Menagerie, whatever. Go ahead.
Prime,
Yeah, I
Gambit
knew you were
Prime
gonna
is
say
an absolute blast.
I like strikes. I just wish there was like a reason to do strikes.
The fact that you can finish a strike and not get a legendary loot piece is just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty much a kick in the balls getting 2 blues. Like, it makes no sense.
that. Yeah, AFKing is definitely my favorite activity.
And then
I believe that, Matt.
No, I would have to actually say, PvP, but not like now. I don't know. Like, I want it to be better. Like, I don't mind going in there from time to time and playing some quick play with friends.
Oh, I love Iron Banner when everyone else is under
Yeah.
level. That's fun.
But yeah, that would probably be my favorite. Yeah.
so to delete Telesto,
Okay,
they
this
just
is
have
really
to go
easy.
to their game files and
Just flip a switch.
just
No, but they should-
accidentally delete.
I would add the effect of Telesto bullets. Like, just make every bullet in the game into a Telesto bullet if it misses. Bam, there you go. Recluse with Telesto bullets. Give me.
How do we get Legion to stop throwing? You gotta pay him.
There you go.
You gotta pay him
Probably.
stride gum. I
Yeah.
also accept popsicles.
Oh my god, he was eating a banana popsicle earlier today. Very
It's
Yeah,
very erotic.
fun times.
It's like
Yes, Rex, we
fingering
probably
a
could
gill.
do an entire one on Gambit Prime, best activity in the game.
I don't think so. That's what the laugh was for, if you guys heard it.
Yes, that does mean he's gonna go throw. Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Vroom. So
Oh.
does that mean I'm not allowed to wear a mask during the raid?
Nah, that should be fine. Crucible we'll probably talk about when there is more
Yeah, we want to save
updates
that
on
for
that.
some information, so probably not
Yeah,
for
they need to
not this upcoming season. It'll probably be the following, hopefully.
blow their load first before we can blow our load.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of the seasons is going to be specifically about Crucible, so
Yeah.
we'll have time then. All right.
Why do I like strikes? It's pretty mindless, right? You can just go around and the goal is just to shoot shit. I think
Gunplay is
some
the
of
best
them are
part
a
of the
little
game.
long. Some of them are a little long. But if they can like get the incentivization right, where like I can go in, just stay in an activity, try and increase the speed that I get through the activity and get through it, because that's like the fun part, right? Is making each run faster and faster to get to that sweet loot. Except there's no sweet loot. We need some sweet loot in the strikes to make a
Yeah.
sweet time.
Well, that's something I feel like we could bring D1 back into as well, because like I think when Taken King came out, certain strikes had like specific loot drops that could be in there. I don't know if you mentioned that. That was cool. Like it made you want to run some of those strikes to get some of that gear.
Yeah, skeleton
Yeah.
keys. Oof, that was
Yeah.
that was rough.
What was the gun? Imago
Mago
loop?
loop.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. That was a great time though,
Yeah.
but they just needed more more drops, because like you had to hope you actually got a drop, and then you had to hope it was the Imago loop, the weapon you wanted, and then you had to hope that you got a good roll.
Actually,
Will you
fucking ask the
guys-
question that I like.
Will you guys be going for day one raid in Shadowkeep? I think we are. I think we're slowly starting to work on getting the teams
Do we know-
together.
We don't know if it's launching when Shadowkeep drops, though, right?
We
Or
have
do we?
no idea when it's coming
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you want exotic, which you want to bring back that isn't currently added in D2? Necrochasm. It's a hive-based AR that when you got precision kills, like you would have like a hive like scream that would come out of the weapon. Really, really cool sounding. Matt,
That gun
Face?
sucked. And it was such a bitch to get to, and there was a glitch involved that wouldn't drop a particular, like, I think the
That
first
gun
gun.
Yeah.
sucked.
That gun was
Okay.
horrible, bro. Necrochasm?
I mean, it was an AR, so.
Dude, no one
And
used
we've gotten like
Necrochasm.
every single hand cannon back, so.
I would say, and we don't need it now because of the way Destiny 2 is, but No Land Beyond. I just love that fucking thing. That thing was bae.
It
What
just
even
had
knows
zero.
that?
It was like a. It was a primary sniper rifle,
Which was the
that-
only primary sniper rifle in the game because it wasn't like Destiny 2.
Yeah, so it was a primary sniper rifle with iron sights, so like no scope, and it had zero flinch, so like it was just way too good. Like it had no
It was
flinch, and you
just,
couldn't.
just like the way it sounded. It was great. That was a gun.
What about you, Face?
From my extensive time playing Destiny 1, about 32 hours,
Nice.
I would say Obsidian Mind. That one looks pretty interesting. Increased grenade throw distance looks shitty, but super energy from kills is always a nice thing to have, kind of like a Nezarec Sin, but it was probably like half a second. And then Nova Bomb kills reduce the cooldown of your Nova Bomb. Please unslaughter Soda, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about gear. Stompies. Fucking. What the fucking
Whoa.
boots? I can't even think about it now. Help me.
The
Bones of Ale.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I never played a hunter, but everyone always mentions those.
Bones. Yeah.
Do you think the Shadowkeep perk system will be better than what we have now? Hopefully. We don't know too much about it, so
I
not too
think
sure,
it-
but I hope.
Go ahead. You go.
That's all I had.
Oh, that's it.
Huh?
No, I think
Oh,
it
but
will
you hope?
be. I think it will be, but I also think it's not going to be as in depth as everybody's wanting and hoping it to be. Like I don't know what their plans are for intellect, discipline, and strength. Right, they're bringing those three back along with the three we have now.
Yep.
But we have class abilities now. So like, how's that going?
That's actually a good question. I wonder if they're taking away super regen off of
Yeah.
whichever one that was.
Because super was intellect, I believe. Right.
It was.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That would be a riot.
Yeah, I'm excited. To
People
see
would
what
not
they
like
do.
that.
I hope they do something where it just makes the current system a lot deeper. Well,
Yeah.
we know the 2.0 gear. You're getting multiple mods on them, right?
Kind of.
Kind
It's
of.
going to be interesting. It would be hard for it to be worse. Like, one of the few ways they could make it worse would be just remove all of them and go back to your one armor. But I don't think they're going to do that. That would be really stupid. Like,
Yeah.
really
Limbo.
stupid.
What do you think, Face?
On what?
The new perk system being better? Do you think the Shadowkeep perk system
Oh.
will be better than what we have now?
Yes, without a doubt. Without any doubt.
What exotic that sucks right now would you like to see get a buff? Matt.
God. Oh man.
Give Graviton Lance Rampage. Thank you. That's it. I'm done.
You like that gun that much? I'm trying to look at my favorite one in the game now that I would really want. I have to look at a list right now. I'm drawing blanks. I would like to see maybe like one of the bows. What are they? They have that bow. My first exotic in Forsaken. It's
Trinity
the one with
Gold?
the lightning. Yeah, Trinity Gold. That would be a cool gun.
Okay.
To buff.
Bows are great, or the exotic bows are all. I really like their designs. Just bows are bad.
That's what I'm saying. So buff that shit up. Would be great.
Crimson would be interesting. Arbalest would be well, Crimson. There's just not content that demands something like Crimson. Because you've got Huckleberry and Recluse, which are basically Crimson. You just don't need the health regen ever. Arbalest is good, but it's too niche. If it always punctured all shields, no matter what, specifically on things like match game, then I think it'd be much better.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, Dude Marchers on the Titan. Give it a little something else to make it more fun, like just sprinting faster, and then like the little arc shit it does with the melee. It's not enough for me. And I like the way the boots look.
Would you want to buff the arc shit, or is it just a bad concept?
So like it's weird, right? Because like when we were doing Gambit earlier, I was running with Dude Marchers, and like I was playing Solar Titan, and I would melee, and it would do like a weird arc. It would do like the arc thing, where it changed between enemies, and I was like, this is really weird. I'm playing a Solar Titan. It's like that's kind of cool, but I think just having something a little different, like maybe if it gives melting point on whatever class
Like
you're
it
playing.
extends the whatever effect you're doing.
I'd like to just see the boots give a perk from one of the trees that you don't. So like if you want to run like a different tree on like Arc, it gives you a perk from a tree that you aren't currently using.
Interesting.
Do you think a system where you could go to 0 once a week and reroll the perks on an exotic armor piece for like 100 shards would work?
It would work, but just give us glass needles, and then have glass needles be 100 shards each.
Yeah,
And then you can re-roll to your extent. Although I wonder how they're going to do exotics with 2.0 armor.
It was a Facebook.
How would you fix bows? What niche would you put them in to make them more useful? I think like bows are fine. It's just the content that makes bows really bad, and it's the same issue with scouts. Like we're on top of each other all the time. So, bows are really bad, but I'd like to see like the draw speed be faster, so you could fire.
I would fix bows just by doing or the combat bows, like whatever subtle calamity is, should do damage that is not quite a one shot, but it should be like pretty much anything is going to kill a guardian after a headshot from subtle calamity, and it should kill almost anything that's not a yellow or orange bar in PvE. And then the bows like Tyranny of Heaven, lightweight frames or whatever they're called, those should fire significantly faster. Like,
yeah, agreed.
And then you'd have bows would both feel very different instead of just kind of feeling a little different now, and they'd be significantly more useful. Like if it almost did sniper damage, I would be able to justify running no turning back with Recluse. That'd be a pretty good build. You'd have the range from that bow and the damage from Recluse for up close.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool if like the lightweight frames were almost like a hit scan. So like I'd like all of the bows to like get a faster draw speed. So like you can shoot more arrows faster. But like if lightweight was like the projectile went faster, so it was almost like a hit scan, but it was like just a little bit less than a hit scan. I think that'd be a nice change too.
Yeah, I like both Buckets and Beaker's ideas there, because there's like really no use for scouts. Like, yeah, I know some cases you can make a case for the range factor, but I think if you did put like extra shield damage or something, it would make them more useful, especially like maybe in match activity ones with the shields, match games.
I know it's really like a solution though, because like
I mean it's something
you're changing the content to make something feel a little bit better. I think you should just make the scouts and the bows and the sidearms. Since sidearms were brought up last time, I think you should just make those be better.
I'd have scouts and bows all naturally shoot through the target. Like, if I line up the shot so that I'm hitting multiple people, let that be part of the skill benefit of using a bow or a scout to differentiate it from hand
Have them
cannons.
intrinsic armor piercing rounds. Buff trace rifles. There's only 2 trace rifles in the game.
There's 3.
There's
There's
Forgotten
3
Lands,
trace
Cold
rifles.
Heart. Oh, there's the third one no one has except for.
not us anyway. Yeah.
Don't you have it,
PS4.
Legion?
Oh.
Yeah, I have it, but it's locked until Shadowkeep.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think we need. Well, obviously we need more trace rifles, but like legendary ones, like that'd be like a great way to increase like the depth of the perks.
Kinetic legendary trace rifles, please. Give me something else to put in that spot.
It's just a gray beam. Ugh.
They're doing that in Shadowkeep. I don't know if it's going to be kinetic or not. But that one that makes a larger crit spot?
Yeah. Well, it looks like no more questions, so it's looking like
Please
that's
hold
the
all
end
your
of
extra questions for
episode
next week.
2. Not a bad episode.
Nah, that's good. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So again,
Around 8 o'clock, we'll be doing this shit again for sure.
yeah, we'll do this again next week. Again, I'm Legionless. Matt is over there in the white, and then Face is Faceless.
Hurrah!
Perfect.
Oh yes, in case you didn't know, we have a Destiny 2 clan called Apex. You should join. I think Matt put the link somewhere on here.
We got all the links to all of our social medias. We got our own Twitters down there below here. And we got a Twitter for the Discord. For the clan. We got the Discords there. I'm posting this video up on YouTube probably tomorrow.
You recorded it, right?
Yeah, it's recorded. It's phenomenal. Yeah. So please stop by. We love having you guys here. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And on that
We'll
note,
catch you guys all next time.
See you around.
take it easy, guys.
Go ahead.